Mad Robots, also known as Mad Robots 3000, was a game released in 1997 by Axel Meyerhofer. It came in both English and German, although the English version is rather uncommon compared to the German one since it's a German game.
The first game in the series was simply called Dr. Harrison and lacked any sort of animation, similar to Microsoft's release of Chips Challenge, coupled with some rather Windows 3.1 hot dog stand-esque graphics. At least it always reminded me of Hot Dog Stand due to the crazy high-contrast rainbow theme. Speaking of hot dogs, why does Bob Schwartz insist never to put ketchup on a hot dog?
Never put ketchup on a hot dog? I don't see what the big deal is.
Anyways, you play as Dr. Harrison, also known as Doc Harry, and the goal is to avoid the robots and get to the exit. But instead, here's the official story from the help document.
In this game of action and strategy, you lead Doc Harry through the many floors of his laboratory where hundreds of robots have gone crazy due to cosmic radiation and now have to be destroyed before they can endanger human lives.
When the game starts up, which runs in a window, it doesn't actually have any music of its own, but instead defaults using Canyon if present on your Windows 98 installation. Also, as a weird anecdote, this is how I found out about the Windows Media folder for the first time. On the right side of the window, you have all the vital statistics. 5 lives to start out with, along with a full energy bar, and in this case, no custom mission and no time limit. Bombs, repair tools, and keys must be collected. Speaking of the time limit, if you were curious what happens if it kept running, well, it just resets to 0, nothing spectacular. Unfortunately, since my registration code doesn't work with this particular English version, the majority of the review will have to be done in the German version. The biggest problem with Doc Harry's movement is that he needs to spin clockwise before he can start walking. This causes a delay in movement and can become a problem when you're trying to get away from an angry robot. At this point, I should probably explain the different behaviors of the robots based on their color. Yellow robots can change the direction on every step that they take. Purple robots, referred to as pink in the manual, can only change the direction when they collide into a wall. Teal robots, called green in the manual, actively walk towards Doc Harry. If they get close enough, they'll keep bumping into Doc Harry until he dies. Doc Harry's only method of attack is by placing cherry bombs. The robots or Doc Harry will explode upon stepping on one. There are also arrows that push Doc Harry and the robots in a forced direction. On arrow puzzles such as this one, it is possible to get stuck requiring to reset the whole game. For instance, if I didn't have that green key, the game would have to be reset as Doc Harry would become immobile. Diamonds exist exclusively for points and don't serve any other purpose. They do add a bit of color to the game to break up visual monotony. After all these years, the shout that Dr. Harrison makes when he gets hit is still engraved in my brain. Oh! 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 But wait until you hear when he gets to the exit. Like many games which loop their music, I could only listen to Canyon for so long before I had to turn it off. It is kinda strange, every time I hear Canyon I always think of Mad Robots. One of my favorite highlights would be the map editor. It has all the functionality used to create the built-in levels, and you can also do things that XMLsoft never intended. More on that later. Don't forget to maximize the window when you launch the editor, as it tries to fill itself over the taskbar. This is more apparent on newer versions of Windows, since the taskbar takes precedence over applications. The included help document goes over all the details, including the ability to export a level into a bitmap image if you want to use it as a background or something. There are 2 useful tips when using the map editor. Firstly, you can select a previous placed item with the right mouse button, so you don't have to use the browser to select an already placed item. And secondly, you can mass deploy a group of objects with the middle mouse button. One interesting addition is that individually placed items alternate their animation cycles. This actually helps maintain visual interest. It's fairly common in most games of this period to keep the same animation cycle for everything once the game starts, which is why I find this mildly fascinating. With all that said, how far can we push the map editor? Well, despite the ability to type in any value when creating a new map, you will be limited to 256 by 256.
So let's see how many robots we can place.
Alright, by using the maximum size of 256 by 256, we get 65,536 individual tiles with resolution 8192 by 8192 8K, and replaced 6,490 robots. Also, apparently Camtasia's buffer can support 8K images. This is pretty weird, and I wasn't expecting it. It appears the AI breaks down for the majority of the robots when there are too many in high quantities. However, there are still some purple robots that are able to walk around normally while the others can't. I decided to see what would happen if the entire map was covered only with green robots, to see how they would respond. As it turns out, it looks like the AI is fine when you have 65,511 green robots without purple and yellow ones. Okay, so let's place a bunch of purple and yellow robots in segregated chambers to see if the green robots can still behave normally after. And to the right, you can see the robots in the chamber shuffling around because they can't actually move anywhere, and there's the green robots. So it looks like that they are able to chase after Dr. Harrison in lieu of being in a chamber. No, Dr. Harrison! No! After some more experimentation, I figured out what the specific cause was. The green robots will follow Dr. Harrison until they get near the purple and yellow robots, which seem to interrupt their pathways. The AI gets so messed up, in fact, that some of the robots start to teleport around. So there you have it, Mad Robots from 1997. Some of the experiments I did with the 6,000 plus robots would probably choke on an original 233 MHz Pentium, which is what I had back then myself. Of course, the actual intention of the game is to solve puzzles and not torment the engine to its extremes. And I have to say, as a puzzle game, it does pretty well in contrast to many other shareware titles out at the time. I didn't ask XMLsoft if they still distribute the English version, or if an English release was ever made for the updated 3000 version. Of course, when ordering a license, the website is completely in German, but it's not too difficult to navigate through, and you can always use a translator.
So if you like that review, feel free to give it a thumbs up, or like or whatever, and yeah.